What's up guys, this is Chris here, and today I've got something pretty interesting. Something I don't cover too much. I've done a couple videos on this, but something that I really think you guys should actually take a look at. This is the DNT ThermNight 635R. Now this is a thermal scope, but it's actually a lot more than that. Now before we get into the video, I do want to mention that DNT did send us this for review. That will not change anything in my review, but we do appreciate them, and we also appreciate them sponsoring the video. So what we have here is we have a thermal scope, we have a daytime scope, which is digital, which also is a night vision scope, and it also has a night vision illuminator and a laser rangefinder. We're 212 meters. So everything you would ever need optically to either hunt at night or assess stuff during the day is right here in one optic, which is pretty impressive. Now we'll get into the price here in a second, but that is probably the most impressive part about the optic itself. The idea behind this optic is not just to give you a thermal, but it's to give you a way to identify targets for either hunting critters or whether you're actually looking for humans, whether that be search and rescue, military and law enforcement, or otherwise. So you're able to identify a target at a great distance with a thermal because it has a 640 thermal sensor. So it can actually identify targets via heat at a long distance. We were able to easily identify animals out to 300 and 400 meters with this, which is really impressive. The deer at
cool.
200 some yards.
Cool.
400 yards, I mean.
Very cool.
Once you see the thing that you're looking for, if it's in the daytime, you can use the daytime digital scope to identify and make sure that's the target you're looking for. Whether that be a mouse or a rabbit or something like that, it kind of looks like a thermal blob at distance, but with a daytime scope, you're able to see that. Now you're also able to do that with the night vision scope. So not only can you search for targets with a thermal and identify them during the day, but now you can do it at night as well with the night vision scope and the illuminator. Now that you've got all of your target and you know exactly what you want to hit, how do you hit it? Well, now you can use the rangefinder in this optic, which is right on the side here. It has a digital rangefinder, which I found to be pretty accurate. We were able to range targets at night at 300 to 350 meters relatively easily and know what they are. Once you're able to range find it, you can use the ballistic calculator, which you can put in here, or you can just use the hash marks, whichever one you want to do. So now you have your firing solution as well. So this whole thing literally is all in one, which is, again, very impressive. Now, the daytime optic is 1080p, and it's digital, which we'll go over here in a second. The thermal is a 640, so you're able to, again, identify targets with a thermal with pretty good quality out to a great distance. Now it's got a whole bunch of settings on the thermal, so you're able to use a bunch of different variations. I personally really like white hot because it reminds me of like all the Call of Duty levels from like the AC-130. However, there's a bunch of other variations as well. You have the black option, you have several different multicolored options, kind of makes you feel like the Predator. There's a lot of really fun different thermal settings that you can actually activate in here, so you can get whatever color preference you like. On top of that, the rangefinder is in yards or it's in meters. I also believe that you can change the ballistic calculator to either mil or MRAD. Basically, whatever your preference is, you can use. The scope is really easy to use and relatively intuitive. Again, I'm not a thermal expert, and we pretty much figured this out on the fly the first time we took it out. The thermal here has a focus ring. Your daytime, nighttime scope has a focus ring here, and then here is your zoom. This is actually 20x, which is a digital zoom, so you can see quite a ways. However, one of the only problems with this optic is going to be that the digital is not 100%. It's 1080p, and you have to remember that digital scopes are not optical scopes. So with an optical scope, not only will you be able to see a lot more clear at distance, but you will also not get a delay. Every once in a while, probably the only weakness to this optic is when I was transitioning targets, sometimes it would delay and stop for a second and then give me a picture. Sometimes when you're transitioning targets very quickly, you can have a delay in the digital optic. That being said, the perks of it are the fact that you can get all of this stuff included. You won't be able to do that with a regular optical scope. Even with a clip-on, you won't come anywhere near the capability of this, especially for the money. And it's not that blurry as you can see in the footage. It's easy for me to hit targets at 200 to even 300 yards relatively easily, and you can see exactly what I'm shooting at. It's just a little bit grainy. Now the zoom is really easy to use. Instead of being like a button that you push, which some of the other ones, I actually really like that it feels like an old school zoom lever on a ring on your scopes, because it feels really natural. You can find your target on a lower zoom, and it's really easy and intuitive just to turn your zoom up like you would a standard scope. So if you're used to shooting through a 1:8 or, you know, a 2x20 or something like that, same principle. Now it comes with a mount, which we actually added a Unity mount on. My neck's been giving me problems lately, and it's a little easier with the high mounts, plus I can shoot quicker. One of the problems with adding the high mount is that you have a lot of different optical planes here, I guess you want to call it. So your zero is going to be a little bit different. It makes it a little bit harder to zero at distance. So for the average person, I would recommend using just the standard co-witness mount. Make sure all these screws are torqued, obviously, and make sure they're torqued correctly, just like any other scope, and you shouldn't have any problems at all. The optic comes with 2 batteries. One of those actually didn't work all that well, but the other one worked great. Now the batteries are relatively affordable. However, that's kind of another knock on it. That being said, the one battery that we did get that worked great literally worked almost the entire time. The battery life on this is extremely impressive considering the capability of it, and it's come sort of leaps and bounds in like the last 5 years. Back in the day, you sort of turn your thermal on every time you needed it. Now you can leave this on a long period of time, and you can sort of scan every once in a while as you're stalking through the woods or as you're sitting in your tree stand or whatever you're doing, and you don't have to turn it on and off consistently to save battery, because the battery lasts a long time on this. It also comes with a lens cap and an eye cup. I actually took both of those off just because in order to use the focus ring on the thermal itself, the cap sort of gets in the way. So I take the cap off when I'm using it, and I put the cap on when I put the thing away. I don't have the eye cup on it because I don't really like those, and also using it with glasses, it's harder to do with the eye cup. I actually have been using this the majority of the time off a rifle. We actually shot it on a rifle quite a bit because I want to see how the recoil works and I want to see how durable it is. But for the most part, I actually use this sort of like a thermal monocular, and I'm out walking at night and I kind of use this. Since it has a super powerful sensor, I can see so far away. I just actually hold on to this thing and I walk around and I look for stuff. It's actually a pretty fun time. Now, considering all the capability that you get with this, you get the thermal, you get the IR illuminator, you get the night vision, you get the day scope, and you get all the features right there for you to use. For the price of only $3,100, that is about $1,500 to $2,000 less than a solid quality thermal scope with a 640 sensor. So you have to remember that not only are you getting a lot for this, but you're getting it for a really, really good price, because most of those optics that are $2,000 or $1,500 more than this don't come with the daytime, they don't come with the night vision or the illuminator or the laser rangefinder in a lot of cases. So you're getting a lot for your money here. You're getting an all-in-one package, and it was certainly worth me doing a video on. I was very impressed with the last DNT scope I used, and I'm even more impressed with this one. Overall, I think it's pretty impressive. I think the capability is impressive, but most of all, I think the ease of use is very impressive. The settings are very intuitive. The buttons are very intuitive. You want to turn it on, power button for 7 seconds. You want to go from day to night, you hit the day to night button. You want to record, you just hit the record button. Setting button's up here, and then your laser rangefinder and your thermal settings is right here. And finally, I wanted to mention that you don't just go from one to another. You can actually use the picture-in-picture button, and you actually superimpose a little image of the daytime scope with your full view of your thermal. So you can use your thermal in the same plane, in your same eye. You can catch it with your thermal and then still identify it with your daytime or your nighttime optic, which is something that I've never actually been able to do before. It is super easy, super intuitive, very cool product. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please support your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.
Angie, what are you doing, buddy? Rocky boy. Are you so cute? Are you the cutest?